20 years after his death, he's still the best-known filmmaker in the world. In 50 films, Alfred Hitchcock has earned the title the Master of Suspense. But what's the appeal? I mean, what is so special about Alfred Hitchcock anyway? This week on the Front Row, we give you some insights on why he's the master, for the newbie, and also for the die-hard fan. If you've never seen a Hitchcock film, the best place to start is 1954's Rear Window. Jimmy Stewart, a Hitchcock favorite, is a Type A personality, laid up with a broken leg and a doomed relationship with Grace Kelly, and really nothing more to do than watch out his window 24/7, where he sees more than what he's supposed to. Rear Window is the best example for a starter film for Hitchcock. It has all the sadistic humor, all the deep-running characters, the suspense and storytelling that's the backbone to most of his great films. Even though it's nearly 50 years old, it's still as timeless and fresh as it was when it was released, despite some choppy special effects. Rear Window dealt with some deep issues of the dangers of voyeurism. Hitchcock tapped into the human nature of good people who are privately drawn to doing bad things. He didn't like the villains who were simply bad for being bad. He liked the everyday Joes that dealt with the regrets and doubts and fears that all of us do. It's that mental tap into our own lives that makes the Hitchcock film so universal and timeless. But there's something more. Here's something you didn't know. When you watch a Hitchcock film, you're actually seeing two movies at the same time. It's no accident that the opening credit sequence of Vertigo from 1959 is identical to the legendary shower scene of Psycho in 1962. Any more than it's a coincidence that all these characters from different Hitchcock films wear eyeglasses. Hitchcock had 17 symbols that he ran from film to film. Each carried a meaning that, when you added them up, made an entirely different or even an enhanced film altogether. Three of his simplest and favorite symbols were birds, mirrors, and water. Birds represented death, mirrors represented lies, and water means a life changed for the worst. Watch closely in this scene from my favorite film, Vertigo, in which Kim Novak and Jimmy Stewart confess their love for one another. All the while, the symbols of water, background birds, and mirrors take on a whole new meaning.
It's as though I were walking down a long corridor that once was mirrored, and fragments of that mirror still hang there.
The bird symbols are also present in the comic adventure romp North by Northwest, where Cary Grant outruns a different kind of bird of prey. He also, of course, made the not-too-subtle film The Birds in 1964, but it's done more interestingly in Psycho, where the story starts in the city named after a bird, follows a character named Marion Crane, who is baited to the Bates Motel and has a faithful encounter with a young man named Norman who stuffs dead birds. In a final bit of dry humor, Hitch shows the audience that Norman is actually the person who knocked off the crane bird. There are more symbols like knives and staircases that also carry totally different meanings. It's enough to make your head spin. The best source for all these symbols and their meaning comes in a book that the master himself endorsed called The Art of Hitchcock by David Spoto. If this is all too deep for you, that's okay. It's only added value. Hitch made all his films, simply for a good night's adventure of entertainment. You don't have to have a film degree or be a complete movie nerd to enjoy the suspense, the intrigue, and the sheer fun that's Alfred Hitchcock. And thankfully, most of the titles have been restored and have better quality than the clips you've seen here. They're all digitally enhanced for your home viewing pleasure. Well, that's all for this week. Join us next time right here on the Front Row. Until then, I'm Bob Schultz for KQ2.